Section 36 of Greatheart. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Greatheart by Ethel M. Dell. Chapter 6. The Wrong Road. When Dinah descended to breakfast the next morning, she encountered Scott in the hall. He had evidently just come in from an early ride, and he was looking younger and more animated than his wont. "Ah, there you are," he said, coming to meet her. "I've got some shocking news for you this morning. Eustace has had to go to town to see his solicitor. An urgent telephone message came through this morning. He's just gone up by the early train in hope of getting back in good time. He charged me with all sorts of messages for you, and I've promised to take care of you in his absence, if you will allow me." "Oh, that will be great fun!" exclaimed Dinah ingenuously. "I hope you're not very busy. I'd like you to show me everything." He laughed. "No, I can't do that. We must keep that for Eustace. But I will take you to the Dower House and show you that." "I shall love that," said Dinah. He took her into a room that overlooked terrace and river valley, and the sunny southern slope that lay between. Breakfast was laid for two, and a cheery fire was burning. "How cozy it looks," said Dinah. "It does, doesn't it?" said Scott. "We always breakfast here in the winter for that reason. Not that it's winter today. It is glorious spring. You seem to have brought it with you. Take the coffee pot end, won't you? What will you have to eat?" He spoke with a lightness that Dinah found peculiarly exhilarating. He was evidently determined that she should not be dull. Her spirits rose. She suddenly felt like a child who has been granted an unexpected holiday. She smiled up at him as he brought her a plate. "Isn't it a perfect morning? I am so glad to be here. Don't let us waste a single minute, will we?" "Not one," said Scott. He went to his own place. He was plainly in a holiday mood also. She saw it in his whole bearing, and her heart rejoiced. It was so good to see him looking happy. "Have you seen Isabel this morning?" he asked her presently. "No, I went to her door, but Biddy said she was asleep, so I didn't go in." "She often doesn't sleep much before morning," Scott said. "I expect she will be down to luncheon, if you can put up with me only till then." He evidently did not want to discuss Isabel's health just then, and Dinah was quite willing also to let the subject pass for the time. It was a morning for happy thoughts only. She and Scott would pretend that they had not a care in the world. They breakfasted together as if it were a picnic. She had never seen him so cheery and inconsequent. It was as if he also were engaged in some species of make-believe. Or was it the enchantment of spring that had fallen upon them both? Dinah could not have said. She only knew that she had never felt so happy in all her life before. The walk to the Dower House was full of delight. It was all so exquisite, the long grassy slopes, the dark woods, the bare trees stark against the blue. The path led through a birch copse, and here, in sheltered corners, were primroses. She gathered them eagerly, and Scott helped her, even forgetting to smoke. She did not remember later what they talked about, or even if they talked at all. But the amazing gladness of her heart on that spring morning was to be a vivid memory to her for as long as she lived. They reached the Dower House. Like Willowmount, it overlooked the river, but from a different angle. Dinah was charmed with the old place. It was full of unexpected corners and old-fashioned contrivances. Blue patches of violets bloomed in the garden. Again, with Scott's help, she gathered a great dewy bunch. There were workmen in one or two of the rooms, and she stood by or wandered at will while Scott talked to the foreman. They found themselves presently in the room that was to be Isabel's, a large and sunlit apartment that had a turret window that looked to the far hills beyond the river. Dinah stood entranced with her eyes upon the blue distance. Finally, with a sigh, she spoke. "How I wish I were going to live here, too." "What? You like it better than Willowmount?" said Scott. She made a little gesture of the hands, as if she pleaded for understanding. "I feel so small in big places. This is spacious, but it's cozy, too. I should feel lost alone at Willowmount." "But you won't be alone," he pointed out, with his kindly smile. "You will be very much the reverse, I can assure you." She gave that sharp, uncontrollable little shiver of hers. "You mean Eustace?" she said haltingly. "Yes, Eustace, and all the people round who will want to know his bride," said Scott. "I don't think you will have much time to be lonely. If you have, you can always come along to us, you know. We shall only be too delighted to see you." Dinah turned to him impulsively. "You are good," she said. "I wonder you don't look upon me as a horrid little interloper, turning you out of your home where you've always lived. I do hate the thought of it, really. It isn't my fault." She spoke with tears in her eyes, but Scott still smiled. "My dear child," he said, "such an idea never entered my head. Isabel and I have often thought we should like to make this our home. We have always intended to, as soon as Eustace married." "Did you never think of marrying?" Dinah asked him suddenly. There was an instant's pause, and then, as he was about to speak, she broke in quickly. "Oh, please don't tell me. I was a pig to ask. I didn't mean to. It just slipped out. Do forgive me." "But why shouldn't you ask?" said Scott gently. "We are friends. I don't mind answering you. I've had my dreams like the rest of the world, but it was very soon over. I never seriously deluded myself into the belief that anyone could care to marry a shrimp like me." "Oh, Scott!" Almost fiercely, Dinah cut him short. "How can you? You, of all people, say a thing like that?" Scott looked at her quizzically for a moment. "I should have thought I was the one person who could say it," he observed. Dinah turned from him sharply. Her hands were clenched. "Oh, no," she said, incoherently. "It is not right. It is not fair. You, Mr. Greatheart." Quite suddenly, as if the utterance of the name were too much for her, she broke down, covered her face, and wept. "Dinah," said Scott. He came to her and took her very gently by the arm. Dinah's shoulders were shaking. She could not lift her face. Why shouldn't your dream come true, too?" she sobbed. "You, who help everybody to get what they want." "My dear," said Scott, "my dream is over. Don't you grieve on my account. God knows I'm not grieving for myself." His voice was low, but very steadfast. "You wouldn't," said Dinah. "No, because it's futile, unnecessary, a waste of time. I've other things to do, plenty of other things." Scott braced himself with the words, as one who manfully lifts a burden. "Cheer up, Dinah. I didn't mean to make you sad." But, are you sure, quite sure she didn't care?" faltered Dinah, rubbing her eyes woefully. "Quite sure," said Scott with decision. Dinah threw him a sudden flashing glance of indignation. "Then she was a donkey, Scott, a fool, an idiot," she declared with trembling vehemence. How I'd like to tell her so." Scott was smiling, his own whimsical smile. "Yes, wouldn't you?" he said. "And it's awfully nice of you to say so. But, do you know, you're quite wrong. She wasn't any of those things. On the other hand, I was all three. But where's the use of talking? It's over, and a good thing, too." Dinah slipped a quivering hand over his. "We'll always be friends, won't we, Scott?" she said tremulously. "Always," said Scott. She squeezed his hand hard, and in response his fingers pressed her arm. His steady eyes looked straight into hers. And in the silence there came to Dinah a queer stirring of uncertainty, the uncertainty of one who just begins to suspect that he is on the wrong road. The moment passed, and they talked again of lighter things, but the mood of irresponsible light-heartedness had gone. When they finally left the dower house, Dinah felt that she trod on the earth once more. "I shall come and see you very often when we come back," she said rather wistfully. "I hope Eustace won't want to be away a very long time." "Aren't you looking forward to your honeymoon?" asked Scott. "I don't know," said Dinah, and paused. "I really don't know. But," brightening, "I'm sure the wedding will be great fun." "I hope it will," said Scott kindly. It was not till they were nearing Willowmount that Dinah asked him at length, hesitatingly, about Isabel. "Do you mind telling me? Is she worse?" Scott also hesitated a little before he answered. Then, "In one sense, she's much better," he said. "But physically," he paused, "physically she is losing ground." "Oh, Scott!" Dinah looked at him with swift dismay. "But why? Why? Can nothing be done?" His eyes met hers unwaveringly. "No, nothing," he said, and spoke with that decision which she had come to know as in some fashion a part of himself. His words carried conviction, and yet by some means they quieted her dismay as well. He went on after a moment with that gentle philosophy of his that seemed to soften all he said. "She is as one nearing the end of a long journey, and she is very tired, poor girl. We can't grudge her rest when it comes. Eustace wants to rouse her, but I think the time for that is past. It is kinder, it is wiser, to let her alone." Dinah drew a little nearer to him. "Do you mean that you think she won't live very long?" she whispered. "If you like to put it that way," Scott answered quietly. "Oh, but what of you?" she said. She uttered the words almost involuntarily, and the next moment she would have recalled them, for she saw his face change. For a second, only a second, she read suffering in his eyes, but he answered her without hesitation. "I shall just keep on, Dinah," he said. "It is the only way. But, as I think I've mentioned before, it's no good meeting troubles halfway. The day's work is all that really matters." They walked on for a space in silence. Then, as they drew near the house, he changed the subject. But that brief shadow of a coming desolation dwelt in Dinah's memory with a persistence that defied all lesser things. He was brave enough, cheery enough, in the shouldering of his burden, but her heart ached when she realized how heavy that burden must be. A message awaited her at the house that she would go to Isabel in her sitting room, and she went, half eager, half diffident. But as soon as she was with her friend, her doubts were all gone, for Isabel looked and spoke so much as usual that it seemed impossible to believe that she was indeed nearing the end of the journey. She wanted to know all that Dinah had been doing, and they sat and discussed the decorations of the dower house till the luncheon hour. When luncheon was over, they repaired to a sheltered corner of the terrace, looking down over the garden to the river, while Scott went away to write letters. And here they talked over the serious matter of the trousseau, with regard to which neither Dinah nor her mother had made any very definite arrangements. Perhaps Mrs. Bathurst had foreseen the possibility of Isabel desiring to undertake this responsibility. Perhaps Isabel had already dropped a hint of her intention. In any case, it seemed the most natural thing in the world that Isabel should be the one to assist and advise, and when Dinah demurred a little on the score of cost, she found herself gently but quite effectually silenced. Sir Eustace's bride must have a suitable outfit, Isabel told her. The question of ways and means was not one which need trouble her. So Dinah obediently put the matter from her and entered into the delightful discussion with keen zest. Isabel's ideas were so entrancing. She knew exactly what she would need. Her taste also was so simple and so unerring. Dinah had never before pictured herself as possessing such things as Isabel calmly proclaimed that she must have. "We must go up to town tomorrow," Isabel said, "and get things started. It will mean the whole day, I'm afraid. Can you bear to be parted from Eustace for so long?" Dinah laughed merrily at the question. Of course, of course. What fun it will be. I always knew I should like to be married, but I never dreamt it could be so exciting as this." Isabel smiled at her with a touch of pity in her eyes. "Marriage isn't only new clothes and wedding presents, Dinah," she said. No, no, I know." Dinah spoke with swift compunction. "It is far more than that, but I've never had such lovely things before. I can't help feeling a little giddy about it. You do understand, don't you? I'm not like that all through, really." "My darling," Isabel answered fondly, "of course I know it. I sometimes think that it would be better for you if you were." "Isabel, why? Why?" Dinah pressed close to her, half curious, half frightened. But Isabel did not answer her. She only kissed the vivid, upturned face with all a mother's tenderness, and turned back in silence to the fashion book on her knee. End of section 36.